tutorial, I'm just explaining my codes for the arrays and lists program. So I'm just going over question 9 and question 10. So for question 9, it's basically a little program that sorts two lists and then merges them together in ascending order. So here we have the two lists, list A, list B. So first of all, it checks if they're sorted correctly. So basically, as long as int I equals 1, as long as it's less than the length of the list, it goes plus plus. So it just checks through each of the elements, and basically it checks if the element in this spot, if it is smaller than its previous number. So like example, if this number was smaller than this number, they'll return false, because that would mean that the list is not in ascending order. If it's all correct, it will return true, which means it is in ascending order. After that, we have the merge. So this first part just again checks to see if both list A and list B, to make sure they're both in ascending order, and if not, then it returns null, which means it pretty much wouldn't work. So the first part we have, so we create the new merged thing. We have int I 0, p 0. So while they are less than the length of the lists, basically this part works is to compare the list A and the list B elements, and it takes the smallest of the two numbers and adds it to the new merge thing, and it pretty much just keeps on doing that, and adds in increments upwards until it gets through the list. So let's say if we had, so if elements in here is less than or equal to this, then it adds that element to the new merge thing, and it goes plus plus. If it doesn't work, that would mean the element in list B is smaller, which would then add the list B number, and it would plus plus. So it pretty much just works through going through each of the elements and comparing them. At the end, we have this part, which it pretty much just adds any of the remaining elements to the end of the merge list. This could be for a couple of reasons, like maybe one list is longer, and it's kind of just the same thing for both of them. So while I is less than the count, then you just add and then plus plus for both things, and then returns that new merged list. Down here, we apply the method pretty much, and then we have the display, which says if merge not equal null, then it says it in the terminal, and as you can see, it says it in the terminal in the correct ascending order: 1 1 2 2 3 5 80 90, or else it writes null. So for the second, make sure I'm still here. Yep. So for the second program, we have program 10. This is about 2D arrays. Basically, it converts this, and it only picks up on the odd numbers. So I'll just run the program first. Oh, don't want to do that. Yeah, here. Okay. So it basically checks over the 2D array. It goes column by column, and it checks to see if a number is odd or not. So let's say we have only odd numbers in here. So we have 7, 1, 1, 3. I'll explain that sorry, a bit later on. So here it just gets the lengths. We have the result. So this is like a nested kind of way that it checks through each of the columns. So basically, for the smaller nested part, this checks the rows. So they'll go like check here, then here, then here, then here, and then move on to the next part, and then go here, then here, then here. So actually, I think if you can see my mouse, basically it goes j equals 0, less than rows. So it checks the number is, or uses the int I and the j. So it checks if the number, so this part checks the remainder. So this is the part that determines if the number is odd or even. So if the remainder of the number does not equal 0, so let's say it equaled 1. So let's say for the first number you have 7. So 7 divided by 2 would leave a remainder of, I believe, 1, if my math is correct, it would add that number. So it only adds odd numbers. Let's say for 2, if you were to divide, if you were to divide 2, it would divide perfectly. So there would be no remainders because it's an even number. Same thing for 10, there'd be no remainders over. So I wouldn't add those numbers. So basically, it does this for each of the rows in that singular column. And then once that's done, so once it equals the end of the rows, it then changes to the next column, so this pluses, and then it goes through each of the rows again. And it does that pretty much until it finishes through all of it. So it goes column by column, as you can see. So it would check 7, then it would take 1, then it would take another 1, and then it would take 3, and then 3, 9, 7, and so on. And then it returns that, and then basically this is just it reads it into the terminal. After that, we have some questions. So I did that part. Lists can be better than arrays because you can, I guess they're more flexible in their sizes. Arrays, you can't really like add new elements to them, while lists, you can add more elements in or remove them out pretty easily. So they're a bit more flexible like that, while arrays take a bit more effort. Yeah, so lists have like add, I think there's removed and other stuff like that. Explain the benefits of 2D arrays. So 2D arrays can be good for things, I guess, like spreadsheets, or even matrices where you need to access like a specific value. That can be good for like, matrice multiplication, inverses, and all that stuff. It's very good for accessing individual parts. So like, yeah, you could access here, this would be 0, 0. I think this would be 1, 0, 2, 0, so on. So it's good for that area. What methods from list were utilized in your Q9? So basically, I think for Q9, we had the sorting and the merge methods. We also used add, which pretty much just adds that value into the new list. I would say count, but I think that's not a method, that's a property, I think. So we had add, which adds it on. I hope that explained everything.